Megan desperately wanted to adopt a baby, and as one would, she decided to go through a domestic adoption agency that found prospective mothers for couples hoping to adopt. After nearly a year of trying, however, Megan was ready to give up. She had found no luck in being chosen by any woman currently expecting, even after having written hundreds of letters to gynecologists and obstetricians in hopes that they would contact her if they'd come across any patients with unwanted pregnancies hoping to place their child in an adoptive home. Deflated but determined, Megan persisted in her actions. She persisted in planting her seeds of intention, unaware of when they'll bloom, but certain that they will bloom. Several months later, she received a call from the original agency she had long given up on. They'd found a birth mother who had chosen her and her husband as one of 3 prospective adoptive parents for her child. Now, one would be tempted to cease all further actions and to focus all of your attention on this one prospective baby, but Megan knew better. She understood that what she really wanted was a child, not necessarily this specific child. And having already experienced adoptions falling through, this time she decided to take another approach. An approach that would help her eliminate all sense of urgency, attachment, and desperation in her pursuit. She knew now that obsession sabotages results. So, she continued planting her seeds by taking actions, by continuing to send letters and making more contacts, keeping her options open. As she continued expanding her influence through her actions, she felt less desperate about being chosen. She felt calm. She could see now all the other options in all sorts of different directions. She began to feel abundant. Slowly but surely, the remaining 2 prospective couples were weeded out, and Megan and her husband were chosen as the adoptive parents to a new baby boy. Her desire was manifested, and simply because she persisted in expanding her influence in every way she could, which helped her to see all of the options that she always had, which helped her to be detached, yet still maintaining that logical expectancy that she would receive her desire. This is a true story which demonstrates the law of expanding influence, a principle made known by Sandra Anne Taylor. And while this may sound like something unique, and as much as I'd like to take credit for bringing something new to your attention, I really cannot, because the law of expanding influence could easily be called the law of averages, the law of common sense, the law of throwing something against the wall until it sticks, the law of detachment, the law of oneness even. In the words of Taylor, the law of expanding influence shows that your own energy expands in the world and has influence in your personal arena and in the world at large. When you choose to live with reverence in your heart and direct it toward those around you, that positive energy spreads to all your circles of influence. Emotions are contagious and each person's energy is influential, says Taylor. This is a phenomenon that we are already very familiar with. Simply illustrated, if you spend a lot of time with a person who consistently berates you, themselves, or others, eventually you may begin to take on this type of judgmental, self-loathing type of quality as well. The opposite here also applies. Spending time around optimistic people eventually impresses this sort of sunny disposition until you eventually begin to express it. How do you express this energy? Well, it's through your thoughts, your moods, your general perspective, and your choices. Hopefully you can see now how this tiny piece of information is kind of important to your success in all areas. Imagine for a moment you walked into a job interview already feeling insecure and loaded with self-doubt, and now you're unable to look the employer in their eyes and respond confidently. And then you fail to mention your qualifications and all of the other incentives that make you the best fit for this position, and you're tripping over whatever words you do manage to get out. Well, now it's more than likely logical that you're not going to get this position, and it all tracks back to the energy that you expressed that expanded and influenced the decision of that prospective employer. Though you desired this job, the outcome was influenced by what you expressed. You didn't get what you wanted, but you got what you gave. And it's only logical. If you think a bad thought, a similar thought will join it, and then another, until you're picturing a negative, emotionally charged scenario, which alters your mood to match that negative scenario. And now you're in a bad mood, which influences your perspective, which influences your decisions, which influences what you receive back, which influences your experience in this world. In other words, your outcomes. This is another example of the law of expanding influence. The question now should be, well, how do I mind my own energy? How do I emit that air of confidence, that air of assurance, that air of I belong here? Just a general positivity about most things. The simple answer would be find a way to reduce the sense of urgency. Just stop being desperate. Just be detached. But how do you actually just be detached? Expanded actions. That is looking in every direction help reduce urgency, keeping away the negative influences of paradoxical intent. Paradoxical intent is rooted in magnetism, which means if there is something you desperately want now, you're not going to get it now because your state of being on that topic is one of desperation. It's far too negative for you to ever reasonably attract a positive outcome regarding it. It's when you find yourself far too thirsty and clingy. That is a repulsive vibration that pushes away your desire by turning off the people and the situations that would aid you in attracting your desire. To simplify, paradoxical intent is that you can get what you want by knowing you don't need it to be happy. And what helps you to know that you don't actually need this specific thing to be happy? Well, that would be expanded actions. By continuing to see options in all sorts of different directions, you surrender your attachment to this outcome in order to attract the ultimate results. Like Megan from our story earlier, when she finally reconciled the fact that what she really wanted was a baby, not necessarily this specific baby. By expanding her influence through actions, she was able to reduce her negative obsession for her desired positive outcome, the obsession that would have sabotaged her results. In addition to reducing urgency, continued action greatly expands intention. The more you undertake, the more energy you send out regarding your intention. Each and every deed is like placing another order with the universe, and you never know how or when it's going to respond. You may plant the seeds in one area, but end up seeing the results somewhere else entirely. Which sort of reminds me of this quote, "Dreams are attached to one another," which is just a poetic way of saying you're on a lucky streak. This video is based upon a journal entry that I wrote a few weeks ago. Like so many of us, I like to document my thoughts and the things I may learn along the way. But when I recently reread this entry, I thought it was worth expanding on and sharing with you in the hopes that you find it helpful, maybe. I really love Taylor's lesson of expanding influence because it once again encourages us to focus more so on what we're giving to the situation, and not just physically but also energetically. We're being asked to control what we're expressing and to allow that work to be influential enough with regard to what outcomes we receive. And for me, that feels like true detachment, which is true empowerment. Additionally, the lesson of expanding your influence by spreading your seeds, for lack of a better term, or even just noticing and creating more options for yourself, and doing this for the purpose of easing that frantic, desperate urgency you've been feeling and more than likely expressing unconsciously, which is again probably likely for why you keep repelling your desired stuff, hun. I think that is a worthy mention as well. But tell me your thoughts. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video. I truly do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I trust you'll give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more content just like this one. So how did you like today's video, and what video would you like to see next? You let me know in the comment section down below. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Toodles.